Alright, welcome to the channel and welcome to Regina, the Queen City and capital of the beautiful province of Saskatchewan. A couple years ago I did a similar video outlining some of the places I like about the city, but I wanted to do another one. Recently I was in Regina and I had an opportunity to shoot some video. This list will include some of the places I covered in my earlier video, but with a few updates, and I also have some different places on this list that weren't in the first one. Regina is definitely not one of Canada's top tourist hotspots, despite the best efforts of certain groups to attract travelers to the city. But it has many great features, and Regina will always have a special place in my heart. Some people say that Regina is boring, but we all know that only boring people get bored. Yeah, it's not Tokyo or Shanghai, but I just love Saskatchewan in general, and I always have a good time in Regina. So Regina is the second largest city in Saskatchewan behind Saskatoon, and it has a current metro population of about 293,000 people. It's located in the southern portion of the province, and it's really the only city that I can think of that is not located on a major body of water. It basically sits on a flat, featureless plain, and most of the trees in the city were hand-planted early on in its history. I won't give you the complete history of the city, but just a few major points. Regina has a long history of being a capital city. It was established in 1882 and quickly chosen as the new capital of the Northwest Territories, a large area that used to encompass what is now Saskatchewan. The settlement was named Regina, which is Latin for Queen, in honor of Queen Victoria. It played a big part in the infamous Northwest Rebellion, and Louis Riel himself was eventually imprisoned and executed in Regina. The settlement was incorporated as a city in 1903, and when the province of Saskatchewan was officially created in 1905, Regina was chosen as the capital, and construction soon began on the Grand Saskatchewan Legislative Building. On June 30th of 1912, the Regina cyclone ripped through the city, including the downtown area, and this remains the deadliest tornado in Canadian history. It had one more fatality than the Edmonton tornado of 1987. Canada's old Cooperative Commonwealth Federation, which was the predecessor to the NDP, formulated their foundational Regina Manifesto in the city in 1933. During the Great Depression, a mass protest movement called the On to Ottawa Trek started in Vancouver and moved eastward. This had similarities to the trucker convoy of 2022. Tensions would boil over while the group was in Saskatchewan's capital city, and this led to the infamous Regina riot in 1935, which resulted in 2 fatalities, hundreds of people injured, and thousands of dollars of damage. Going back to 1883, Regina actually became the headquarters of the Northwest Mounted Police, and it was used as their primary training facility. And of course, they would eventually become the RCMP. And Regina is still the main training facility for RCMP officers in Canada. The city is also home to the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the CFL, the only football team I care about. And the Roughriders are currently the top team in the CFL at 10-3, and I have a strong feeling that this is the year they're going to win another Grey Cup. Over time, Regina has grown into a major agricultural, industrial, commercial, and cultural hub in Saskatchewan, and the city has a lot to offer. And so here are 10 of my favorite places to visit in the city. This is not a comprehensive list of everything to do in Regina, and if you live in the city and you're mad that I missed something, then I might suggest you get off your tushy and make your own video. These are not listed in any order of importance, just 10 places I like to visit when I'm in Saskatchewan's capital city. And at number 1 is Robin's Donuts. Actually, the name was changed to just Robin's back in 2014, but it will always be Robin's Donuts to me. Robin's is a donut and coffee chain that started in 1975 in Thunder Bay and quickly expanded across Canada. And of course, that would make this year their 50th anniversary. They used to have several locations in my hometown of Edmonton, and I used to love going there as a kid. However, in recent years, Robin's locations have been rapidly disappearing. Even when I was in Regina a couple years ago, it seemed like they had twice as many locations in the city. And so I definitely recommend stopping by one of the last remaining Robin's locations in Canada. There's a few spots left in Regina, and this one here is in the northeast end of the city at 303 Park Street. Robin's is 100% Canadian owned, unlike the rapidly degenerating Timmy's, and their donuts and coffee are a lot better than that larger chain. Their stores also have a lot more of a vintage and nostalgic vibe, and when I visit Regina, I always stop by Robin's for a donut and iced coffee. At number 2 is Regina's Warehouse District. This is directly north of the downtown core, and it features an impressive collection of old brick warehouses. Honestly, when you're in this area, it seems like you're in a much bigger city than you actually are. This area has obviously preserved its local history very well, and inside these old warehouses you'll find a whole bunch of popular restaurants, cafes, pubs, nightclubs, gyms, salons, and stores. A couple standouts are the very popular Bushwhacker Pub, a legendary local company, and apparently this building is also haunted. Another great business in this area is the Everyday Kitchen, and their baking is some of the best you'll find in the city. I love thrifting, and this area also has an excellent value village and a strip mall that also has a neat little antique shop. The main commercial strip in the warehouse district is Dudney Avenue, which is a major street in the north end of Regina. And as you can see, this area is currently undergoing the Dudney Avenue Corridor Revitalization, a project that is aimed at making the warehouse district a, quote, safer and more vibrant space. Now, in general, the north central area of Regina definitely has a rough reputation, and I'm going to talk about this more in the Sketchy Areas of Regina video in a few days. I read an article a number of years ago that talked about the Riversdale neighborhood in Saskatoon being the coolest neighborhood in Saskatchewan, but I think that very soon that title may go to Regina's warehouse district. I'm interested to see what everything looks like after the massive redevelopment project, and overall this is definitely one of the most unique and interesting places to visit in the city. At number 3 is the downtown core. Yes, this might seem a bit obvious, every city has a downtown area, but Regina's downtown core is more interesting than you might expect, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Even if you just take a short walk along Victoria Avenue, which is the main street in the downtown area, you'll find an impressive collection of really cool architecture, including the opulent Hotel Saskatchewan, the Saskatchewan Sports Hall of Fame, and the iconic Government of Canada building, just to name a few. I also really like the Saskatchewan Power building, it's definitely a little bit different. Right in the middle of downtown you'll find Victoria Park, which has a central cenotaph that commemorates the contributions and sacrifices of the Canadian military. And this reminds me a bit of Edmonton's old Churchill Square, which was transformed into a desolate concrete field. The pedestrian-only portion of Scar Street has really beautiful buildings on either side, and a whole bunch of great little shops. On the far north end of downtown you'll find the very popular Casino Regina, which is located in the old Union Station, which was a CPR passenger station completed in 1912 and then converted to a casino in the 90s. Now, when you're downtown, the area east of Broad Street does get a bit rough, although it also has a really cool collection of buildings, and I'm going to cover this area in the Regina Sketchy video in a few days. At any rate, downtown Regina certainly isn't Manhattan, but it's more interesting than you might expect, and if you're visiting the city, you definitely don't want to skip a short walk around the downtown core. Okay, now I'm going to get a bit more granular and mention some specific places to grab some food in the downtown area, and at number 4 on the list is the Copper Kettle. This place is a local classic, and it was the first real restaurant that I visited when I was in the city many years ago for work. This is right in the core of the downtown area. It's located in a beautiful heritage building with a patio overlooking Victoria Park, and this would be a prime location for starting your visit of the city. The Copper Kettle has been a local institution since 1963. It started out as a simple lunch counter and evolved into its current state. Their menu is quite vast, but they specialize in Mediterranean food, and they're also very well known for their pizza. The Copper Kettle is often ranked among the best restaurants in the city by local residents. When I was here for work years ago, I was eating a lot of fast food, and the Copper Kettle had a grilled chicken sandwich that absolutely saved my life. The city honestly has a lot of excellent places to eat, and I may cover more of these in a separate video down the road. But this is a reliable classic, and if you're looking for great food and excellent service, definitely go see my friends at the Copper Kettle. At number 5 is the Italian Star Deli. Talk about a local classic. I absolutely love this place. It's just east of the Copper Kettle on Victoria Avenue, also in the downtown area. This is an authentic Italian deli and imported European specialty shop, and it's an absolute legend in Regina. So I'm from Edmonton, and we have the very popular Italian Centre shop. And I just love how Regina also has their own authentic Italian deli and market. Honestly, this is the best deli in Saskatchewan. There's nothing like this in Saskatoon. So come on Saskatoon, let's kick it up a notch. They established themselves in 1966 when Frank and Gina Giambattista, who moved to Canada from Italy in 1956, opened a small community confectionery at 1611 Victoria Avenue, and this quickly evolved into a full deli and grocery store, very similar to the Italian Centre shop in Edmonton. Gina Giambattista was the face of the business and she worked at the store full-time, while Frank worked full-time for the city of Regina. Frank and Gina's son Carlo currently oversees the daily operations, and I had the opportunity to meet Carlo and his wife Heather, and honestly they're some of the loveliest people you'd ever want to meet. They operated for decades out of this old storefront, and then in spring of 2023, they opened their new, much larger location just steps away on the same block. This is a very beloved local company. They have excellent European products you won't find anywhere else in Saskatchewan. Their ready-made sandwiches are incredibly delicious and very popular, and their customer service is second to none. Basically, if you're visiting Regina, you absolutely have to stop by the Italian Star Deli. Okay, at number 6 is Milky Way Ice Cream. This is also located on Victoria Avenue, and this is an absolutely iconic local business. It was established in 1956, and they're usually open from early March to mid-October. Honestly, there's almost constantly a lineup here. I was here on a Monday at 2 p.m. in September, and I had to wait quite a while until there was a temporary break in the action so I could get a closer shot of the storefront. They have an incredible assortment of cones, shakes, smoothies, and ice cream cakes, as well as a variety of hot food, although honestly the hot dogs aren't very good. but I love the ice cream here. They have a bunch of delicious flavors. And I also enjoy the classic retro vibe of this building that has remained largely unchanged over the past 70 years. Milky Way is one of the most iconic businesses in the city. It's very popular with local residents, and you have to stop by if you're in town. And honestly, for all you younger millennials and Zoomers with poodle hair, the vintage storefront would be an excellent place to take an Instagram photo. At number 7 is Wascana Centre, but I personally just call it Wascana Park. To me, this is the centerpiece of Regina. It is a 930-hectare park surrounding Wascana Lake, as well as the Legislative Building. This park area is actually bigger than Central Park in New York City, and it takes up a large portion of the city. This is a sprawling area with a lot of attractions, but at the very least I'd recommend taking a short walk around the grand and opulent Legislative Building area. Just north of the Legislative Building is the Queen Elizabeth II Gardens. This area is very well maintained and picturesque, and a great spot to take some photos. Wascana Lake itself is not natural. It was made by damming the local Wascana Creek, and it's been expanded over time. This area is just a great place to sit and relax, maybe take a walk along the lakeshore. It has many interesting park spaces and fields. And then Wascana Centre has many individual attractions, such as the Royal Saskatchewan Museum, which I featured in my video a couple years ago, as well as the Saskatchewan Science Centre and the Connexus Arts Centre. This is just a very pleasant place to hang out. It's a very popular spot, and to me, Wascana Centre is the centerpiece of the Queen City. At number 8 is the Cathedral neighborhood, particularly the area along 13th Avenue. This is just west of downtown. It's one of the oldest neighborhoods in the city, and it has a beautiful collection of old character buildings. The area is named for the Holy Rosary Cathedral on 13th Avenue, but there's also a bunch of other impressive churches in this area, such as the beautiful Westminster United Church. 13th Avenue is the main commercial strip in this neighborhood, and along this street you'll find a really eclectic collection of shops and cafes. In terms of quality, my personal favorite coffee in the city is 33 1/3 Coffee Roasters on 13th Ave. However, this place is takeout only, and in terms of sit-down cafes, one of the best coffee shops in the city is the 13th Avenue Food and Coffee House. The coffee is also really good here, the service is excellent, and it's located in just the most cozy little building you've ever seen. In some of my older videos, I've stated that I'm not a big fan of the suburbs, and I generally prefer mature older neighborhoods. In my opinion, Cathedral is one of the best old neighborhoods in Regina, and I always take a walk through this area when I'm in the city. At number 9 is Houston Pizza. This is a very popular local chain, and they have locations throughout the city and the rest of the province. But the original location is on Hill Avenue, in the beautiful Lakeview neighborhood just west of Wascana Centre. The company was founded in 1970 by Greek immigrant George Kalitsas and his brothers, and they developed what would become a distinct regional Regina-style pizza. This style of pizza is very thick with generous toppings. The bigger pizzas are usually cut into squares, and I always get the classic all-dressed, which includes several kinds of meat as well as peppers and onions. Their pizza is so popular that during the Grey Cup, it's not uncommon for Houston to ship their pizzas across Canada to Saskatchewan expats living in different provinces. Their pizza is very filling. I was here a couple weeks ago and I got their smallest pizza, and I ate half in the restaurant and then saved half of it for my trip to Moose Jaw. I actually finished the pizza on the hood of my car at a gas station in Moose Jaw like an absolute dirtbag. Like I said, there are multiple locations throughout the city, but the original location is their restaurant on Hill Avenue. This place just has classic pizzeria vibes, excellent home-style service, and I'm personally a huge fan of the food. And so if you're visiting Regina, this is a local classic, and I would definitely recommend stopping by Houston Pizza. And to finish off at number 10 is the Government House. This is one of many excellent places to check out Regina's local history. The Government House is a National Historic Site and the official office of the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan. It was first built as a residence for the Lieutenant Governor of the Northwest Territories, and later as a residence for the Lieutenant Governor of the new province of Saskatchewan. The first building was completed in 1883 and added to over time, and then this new building was completed in 1891, which was much more substantial and elegant. The building was actually vacated in 1944, but it returned to official ceremonial use in 1984. It still houses the office of the Lieutenant Governor, but it also serves as a museum and event venue. The museum portion is totally free, although donations are welcome. And it's just really cool to see the restored rooms displaying the period from about 1898 to 1910. As a side note, they also give free tours at scheduled times. This building is allegedly haunted. I included it in my Haunted Regina video a couple years ago. Staff and visitors have reported doors opening and closing on their own, hearing phantom babies crying, children laughing, and eerie faces appearing in some of the mirrors. It's actually considered to be one of the most haunted places in Saskatchewan, and a couple years ago when I was shooting video here for my Haunted Regina video, I visited Government House first thing in the morning with a full camera battery, and very quickly my battery completely drained, and then interestingly the battery went back up to full when I exited the building. Government House is said to be haunted by a ghost named Howie, which is thought by many to be Chun-Li, the former cook of Lieutenant Governor Archibald McNabb. Staff in the building attribute a lot of strange activity to this ghost, and besides the paranormal appeal, this is just a beautiful and interesting historic space, and a great place to visit for people of all ages. And that's pretty much going to wrap this one up. Again, this was not a comprehensive list of everything to do in the city. I covered some different places in the video I did a couple years ago, but I wouldn't recommend that one. My early videos are very cringe. And then later this week I'm going to be posting another video on some of Regina's sketchy areas, and it definitely has a few of those. I hope you found this one interesting and informative, and if you haven't already, then please consider subscribing to my channel. It's completely free to do so. I upload a variety of Canadian content, and I typically upload something new about once a week. And if you want to support my channel further, you can buy me a coffee, and there's a link to that below. Thank you for watching, I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.